scope of grief and wasted human potential, we have a moral obligation to understand the ultimate reasons why we destroy one another.
Hi guys, welcome back to BurnMyMood Podcast. It is me, your host Jay. I have a lot to uncover in the past year. I kind of made a promise to myself that my little passion project is going to continue to go forward every year, hopefully. So, we've moved house, okay? Alex and I now have a tenancy in both our names. I know, terrifying. Miss Independent over here now is half dependent. Indie half dependent. I don't know. This time I'm going to try a few new things. I just want to have fun. I don't want to have no serious pod where it's like intimidating or anything. So to kickstart the first episode, I want to show you my new backdrop. I started steaming half of it, and then I thought this episode could be like a behind the scenes type of episode. So I only steamed half because I bought this steamer for £15 off of Groupon. So it only has a very small reservoir, so I've got to wait for that to heat up so then I can actually steam the other half. But yeah, I'm having a bit of a lighting issue at the moment because the lighting's actually good outside right now, and this is covering my window, so I have huge lighting here. I've lit up the backdrop with daylight, but obviously I'm not a photographer. I create content. I create a pod once a year. I am basically winging this. Yeah. So in the past year, I have become a very green kind of gal. And I'm just trying to experiment. We've got a new place to record the pod, so the walls are not white. They are Egyptian cotton. The floor is grey, so it's very dark, even though it's quite a large size room. I've got a whole room. We call it the creative room. Can you hear this? That sounds like it's going to blow up, doesn't it? Okay, so I've turned that off. That's fucking scary. So, I'm going to do a few extra solo pods this season, just because there are some topics and things that I've been through that I wasn't ready to talk about in the last pod, in the last series. So in this series, it is still going to be a guest series. I am going to bring back some guests and bring on some new ones. But yeah, this has started filming well late. I'm well underprepared. I've really overdone myself here. But yeah, I've got a lot to talk about. Yeah. God. 4 minutes in. Jesus Christ, how long left? No, I'm joking. So I don't really rewatch my last episodes, which would probably really benefit me because my personality changes a lot. Like, there's a lot of me going on. Like, there is a lot going on in my head. There's a lot of different girls in here. You've got masculine Jay, feminine Jay, and whatever the fuck she wants to be Jay. And yeah, so I thought I would try and recap what I talked about last time, and then I started watching one episode and I thought, oh, I am not that person anymore. All right. And that's the funny thing about podcasts is you should always take into consideration that when you are watching a podcast, and say for instance it's like months after it was released, like I release my podcast months later, I don't release them on the day because I'm a one-woman team here. Okay, I'm not Superwoman. I don't have 20 members of staff helping me with this, otherwise I'd release more regularly. But because I do it all by myself, I set realistic expectations for myself, not like society does it? No, apparently 25 I'm 25 now, right? And I'm meant to have children, a mortgage, and all this mad stuff, and I don't, because I'm not stressed about it. Do you know what I mean? Just doing things at my own speed. Intruder. There is an intruder in the house. Hi. How are you? Yeah, I'm good. Okay, so many people know that I always direct you to my profile, podcast.j. However, as we know, my personalities are a bit hit and miss. I feel like I pick up that trait of starting something and not finishing it off my mother. So thanks, Mum. I like the creative side. I don't like the fact I can't finish what I start. Anyway, so since the last pod, a lot has happened, okay? A bloody lot. So let's probably go back to when the last pod was released. Now, I probably started recording in December. So I started recording those pods in December and probably finished them in May, roughly, apart from the last and first episode. Now, in that time, I have had to move house, and we love it here. Like, we literally have enough parking. We have perfect spots. I just love living in this town. And we've also got a lush garden now. And just things have fell into place so much more than I thought they would. So I'm really happy about that. I mean, I was working for a company that rents vehicles to the film industry, and that was fun. But I just felt like no career progression on my side because it's just not what I wanted to do. Obviously, I want to do this pod, but this is more like my passion project, you know? Like, I would love to do more with this, but ultimately, I have finally found something career-wise that I actually want to do. So, as many of you know, I spend like pretty much my whole life in survival mode. So, something I really learn is that, like, about myself, is that I've never had a chance to really figure out what it was I wanted to do. I mean, I love doing this pod, right? I wish I could do this pod full time, but trying to actually make like financial decisions when I run a podcast that makes me zero money is just really difficult. So yeah, I decided to rebrand the pod to BurnMyMood. It was the first business I ever built, and I'm really, really proud of it. It still makes me money now, just not the podcast side. And to be honest, I don't mind. Like, I like how organic and authentic it is. I like the fact that I can encourage people to come on and tell their story, talk to me. I like to find out people's thoughts on things and talk about all sorts. But yeah, a lot of it is just a time thing. Sometimes, well, every single guest I've had on, it's their first pod. So this time around, I think you're going to see people come out of their shell a lot more, which I'm really excited about. And I've kind of added a bit more structure. So I'm going to be asking people very similar questions because a lot of people really enjoy that. But I'm also going to talk about myself on solo episodes a bit more, and yeah. So, in the past year, a hell of a lot has happened. There is tea to talk about. Not good tea, not bad tea, just tea, okay? So, beginning of January last year, I went through a very difficult time because I thought, now this is going to be a whole episode, okay? This is not what we're going to talk about today. This is going to be a whole episode in this series that I'm going to spill and just tell the truth about this topic. But beginning of last year, I had an abortion. Now, for those people that don't know me, I've believed my whole life I was infertile because I was told on multiple occasions that I was infertile. So that is going to be a whole episode on its own. And I was never opposed to it, okay? Like, I know a lot of people feel a certain way about it, and that's absolutely fine. You're entitled to how you feel about it. However, I was never opposed to it. I thought, well, this is literally, like, something I was well open to. And I thought, well, if I don't want it, I'll just... But, yeah, truthfully, I went through it, and I would never do that again. Like, I would actually never do that again. So that was my first trauma dump of the day. We will talk about that more detail in another solo episode because there is a lot to talk about there. Like, there is so much to talk about. Like, I have never felt, and bearing in mind, this was all in my head, Okay, this is completely in my head. Like, all my friends were there for me. Like, everyone in my life was there supporting me. No one was telling me I was doing the wrong thing. Everyone was checking in on me when it was happening. Like, I was very blessed in that situation. Like, I had a lot of people around me who were there for me. However, I have never felt so alone in my life. Like, I think that was one of the hardest things at that moment in time. That was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life, right? Then a few months later, right, I lost a very, very close friend to me. So that's now 2 of my friends who I have lost in the space of a year, who are exactly the same age as me. And it was just a very, very difficult year for me. I had my friends, so my lost friend's brother, staying with us, and that was really difficult as well. And I felt like I could do that because, yeah, that'll be another episode on its own, because I don't want to go into that right now. But yeah, so I had basically a fuck ton of therapy. All right, I had a lot of therapy. I had a therapy for the abortion, I had therapy for grief, and I just needed fucking therapy. All right, like, I have my whole life been like, I don't need therapy, a therapist is going to get rid of me, blah blah. I used to make a lot of humorous type of jokes about it, but I actually had therapy. Okay, it was like non-negotiable. So I basically also broke up with my therapist. What was that about? Just someone up here told me she's shit, and she wasn't. All right, because then I tried a different therapist, and I thought, oh, I want Michelle back, and I couldn't get Michelle back. So yeah, yeah, that was sad. But I spent months with this therapist, and let me tell you, I learned some things about myself that I did not know were real life. Okay, so for example, sometimes I would talk to my therapist about certain things that, like, certain behaviors of mine in a relationship. So, for example, if me and Alex ever argue, I basically go into panic mode. Yeah, I'm literally like, my first thought is, like, we're gonna break up or something. And obviously, we're not breaking up over who ate the last packet of crisps. Do you know what I mean? Like, any kind of little argument or slight negativity, we literally are in each other's space 24/7. We are bound to bicker every now and again. And one time I spoke to my therapist about this. I said, I don't understand why I panic so much whenever my partner and I have a disagreement. Like, I just want to be able to disagree and be at peace with the fact that, I'm safe, like, nothing's going to happen. It's literally just a disagreement. And she basically told me that because I don't see my family as people I can turn to, I have built this, mentally built my own family. So my family are, if you've listened to my last episode, you will understand, but in the past, most of my friends have been guys. I have a few other friends and my partner. And so my therapist said to me, your family are those people, right? So your family in your mind are the lads, the girls, your boyfriend, okay? She's like, but you live with your boyfriend, so your boyfriend is going to be the most constant, consistent member of your family in your mind. So you feel like when you have a disagreement or when you bicker or something, that your whole life, like, your whole family's gone. It's not just your boyfriend, like, it's your whole family. And I was just like, wow, okay. So that is something that really shocked me, because it kind of made a lot of sense, because I do see him as my family, So I don't know if anyone would relate to that, but that is my truth. That is something I learned from my therapist. Now, I also broke up with my therapist because I felt like I had done the work, and what she was asking me to practice wasn't always what I needed as advice. So, for example, she would ask me to become self-aware while saying to me she found my life fascinating. So she would tell me, because I would tell her stories, and every time it was like news to her. Like, every single time she would be like, fascinating. And I know what that means. That means she's just, doesn't, like, she's intrigued and trying to help me navigate that situation. But I've already navigated that situation. I'm already self-aware about it, and I'm just wondering what the next steps are. And she used to say to me, it's quite difficult to give you advice because you're already very self-aware of yourself, your issues, and who you are. So I did find that really tough. And when it came to, you know, actually trying to resolve some of my problems, she would literally say to me, well, that's not what we do. Like, therapists are not here to tell you what to do. And I thought, well, what are you here for then? Like, I appreciate that's not your job, but that is why I'm doing this. I'm hoping you can tell me what I need to do. Because yes, I'm aware of my problems, but I need someone. I need a parent, right? I need somebody to tell me what's right and what's wrong. Because I'm just out here figuring out my life. And sometimes it's exhausting doing it all by yourself. Like, sometimes you just want someone to tell you how to figure it out and what your options are, right? And instead, I'm just here narrow-minded in my own options. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I felt like that was why I found therapy difficult. But she did help me become self-aware about things I wasn't very aware about. So when people speak to me about, do you recommend therapy? I always recommend it because I know that I'm, like, obsessed with my mental health, right? This OCD likes to take over sometimes, and in COVID, I became a bit obsessed with my mental health. So I became so obsessive that I figured out everything that's wrong with me and all of my behavior traits and how consistent they are. So the only thing that I've ever been diagnosed with is OCD, but I suffer with anxiety, health anxiety, and especially at the time, a real strong borderline personality disorder. So, and that took a bloody long time to figure out. That was like the missing puzzle piece I could not figure out. And if you've heard my previous episodes, the relief I felt when I figured that out, I literally was like, I don't even feel like I need to go to a doctor. I don't even feel like I need anything else for this. It all makes sense. I just need to heal now. Now I know and I'm self-aware. I just need to heal. Hence the therapy. So, yeah, that was really interesting to figure out. And I told her, and she said, you know, she kind of agreed with everything I was saying. But still, no one there to tell me what to do. So I basically asked for help when it came to the abortion. I asked for help when it came to the grief of losing my friend. And when I lost him, it was so tough because I cannot explain to you what it did to, like, my mental well-being and physical well-being. So I basically leaped back on. I booked therapy straight away because I went to work, right, that week, and I felt like I was having a heart attack every day, right? For 2 days, I was trying to work. I remember telling my friend I worked with at the time, I said, I feel like I'm having a heart attack. And I wasn't, because that's not what a heart attack feels like, okay? So a heart attack would feel very different to the sensations you feel during a panic attack. And because I now know what those symptoms are, I'm convincing myself that I have those symptoms. So I'm almost feeling the symptoms of a heart attack, cardiac arrest, which literally is not the case, right? This is all in my head. And I know it's in my head, hence why I never did anything about it apart from therapy. I jumped back on my old meds, which were given to me for a totally different reason, but I just needed something because I couldn't get anything over the counter. And yeah, the therapy probably helped me the most. She basically told me that it's completely normal to feel like you're dying when someone dies. Like, she was like, your brain starts trying to relate to that situation, and when you're going through grief, you start thinking, oh, that could happen to me, especially because it was such a tragic situation. Like, he was literally the same age as me, same as my friend the year before. It's exactly the same age as me, and they both are no longer here. So that's something I've spent a good year trying to get my head around and understand. So yeah, anyway, moving on from that, because I want to save that for its own episode, because that's just quite a tough topic to talk about, And, you know, only people that are going to relate to that are going to want to hear about that. Anyway, so on a more positive note, after the 2 really traumatic things and the therapy, we moved house in the space of time. Let me tell you, day we move in, house fire, okay? What the fuck was that for? Believe this, yeah? So we chucked water on the fire, and I did not know this, but when you have a glass hob and it's on fire, if you chuck water on it, it would smash the hob. So don't do that if your house is on fire. You're better off putting like a fire blanket or something on it, but panicked, water, put it out, right? And yeah, then I couldn't figure out what it was, right? Because I wasn't in the house for hours. I had moved some boxes in, and I almost started blaming myself for this situation, right? I was like, how the hell have I set the house on fire? And my partner wasn't here either. He was going to work, so he was literally hours away driving to a show. And I just couldn't figure out what it was. I was like, what the fuck? And then I went to a murder mystery party the same night, it literally did not feel like I should have gone, but thank God my partner convinced me to go, because I literally, mental breakdown after mental breakdown that week. Like, I lost my friend, had a house fire, and had to move into a new house that I was not mentally prepared to move. So that was a lot that week. And so I went to this murder mystery party, and this was probably like one of the last times I ever had a drink. I didn't even get drunk. I literally had like 3-4 drinks. This is kind of like between losing Lucy to losing Ben. I really struggled with my relationship with alcohol, and I really was not prepared or ready to give up drinking. Like, I stopped getting drunk, obviously. I stopped getting drunk. I mean, I think the last time I was drunk was about 2 years ago. But people that actually know me and watch this know I am a party animal. And I love a drink, but basically I slowed down because I started taking it too far. I started blacking out. I started becoming a liability, and people around me started getting really worried about me. And I thought, oh, okay, no longer am I responsible and an okay drunk. Now I'm a fucking nightmare. So it kind of scared me. Like, it kind of scared me to get in that way again. And every time I tried to have a drink, it would end up in me blacking out and not remembering stuff. And I've never ever experienced that kind of stuff in my life. So it was kind of like not even funny. So I just sort of stopped getting drunk. I would have like a couple of drinks, whatever. So I went to this murder mystery party, which I would highly recommend if you and your friends are ever trying to think of something creative and different to do for a night out, is having a murder mystery party. That is actually really fun. It's like murder mystery, but in real life, except no one actually dies, obviously. Yeah, so I did that. I came back, and all my friends there were like, you need to call the fire department anyway. You have to report it. I was like, okay. So when I came home the next day, I called the fire brigade. Apparently there's no non-emergency number for the fire brigade. You have to call them like 999. It's such a panic. Like, I'm literally on the phone straight away like, this is not an emergency, okay? And then I'm telling them, like, I had a fire yesterday. I didn't know I had to report it. Can someone come out and do an analysis before I clean it up? It said, yep. Came out. He could not find the cause of the fire. And he was like, there is literally no sign of what started the fire. And it was a box of cleaning products next to the oven, right, that was on fire. It was like kind of on top of the hob, but not actually touching the dials. And I know that because I learned that lesson from a different house I lived in before. So I just sort of like pushed it over when I put it down. And then obviously I came back and it was on fire. And he said that there was nothing in that box. Bearing in mind, I told him that everything in that box was flammable. He said there's nothing in that box that would have started that fire without an ignition, which I didn't understand whatsoever. And he said, unless I had a cloth in there that had chemicals on, when they're in a confined space, they can get hot and cause a fire, which is quite common. And I knew that all the cloths in that box were clean. So I was like, it's not even that either. And he was like, well, there's literally, I can't resolve this. Like, there is no explanation for this fire. So that made me really skeptical. And I was like, great, this is going to do really well when I try and claim on my house insurance. And then when I started cleaning up, I started like noticing loads of little things, and I just thought, this is weird. Bearing in mind, the morning of the whole situation, right, I had done the inventory check. So an inventory check, when you first move into a house, especially a rented space, I'm not sure when it comes to mortgages, but when you rent privately, so through estate agents, you have to basically go around the house and mark every single nook and cranny down. So like in this room, on the ceiling, there's like a circle, or like a dark circle. It must be a leakage coming from somewhere, but it's been there since we moved in, right? So I don't know what happened there. It's never got much bigger. I don't know what's going on, but nothing seems to be an issue. You still write it down, because otherwise they will take it out of your deposit and blame it on you. So I went and noted every single mark on the wall, paint splatter, like any kind of thing, so that when we move out, they don't blame it on us. And I remember looking at that ceiling door, what's it called? The loft door, and there was just a splash of white paint on it. And obviously, the whole house is, what's it called? Egyptian cotton. The whole house is Egyptian cotton. So, it was obvious, and I'd obviously marked it down. So when I was cleaning up the house this day, apparently the best way to get rid of fire is through Febreze. Fun fact. And yeah, so I Febrezed the whole house, and I got into the bedroom and I was like, what the hell is this? And it was the loft upside down, and there was like, I literally panicked and I called Alex. I said, someone's in the house, because I did this inventory check yesterday. That was not like that. So he came by, and we called the police, we called the estate agents, and they would not go up there to see if someone was there, to see if someone was living there. And we were like, why? And they said, oh, it's a risk of our safety. Okay, what? So you want us to go up there? And they basically said, yeah, you got to go up there. And I was like, we need to change the locks and that. Alex found like SD cards. He found like loads of rubbish up there, like boxes. And we were just like, what the fuck? And he said it did kind of look like someone was living up there. So, like, that was weird. But there was only small signs, so we'll never really know. But he got all the locks changed, and he's just, like, he had to get the counters replaced. They tried to quote us, like, 4 or 5 grand to replace the kitchen. There was literally a smashed hob and a burn mark smaller than a 5p piece on the counter. And they were like, you need to change the tiles, the countertops, the oven, the hob, everything. And we were like, why? Like, what the fuck? So it took us ages to replace the hob, because they wanted us to get a very specific hob, even though it was one of the most expensive ones you can get. Like, they're literally taking the piss out of us. And then they wanted us to replace the oven. I remember when the guy came and took it out, he said it didn't work. I came home, I unscrewed the top, and I was like, there's nothing fucking wrong with it. It was just dented on the top. Because obviously, where the hob fell through, it indented just the top. So I just used my knee, popped it out, and it was fine again. So I was like, there's literally nothing wrong with it. We've used it for a year, and it's worked perfectly fine. So they tried to charge us like over £1,000 for that. The countertops, for a mark less than the size of a 5p piece, cost Alex like over £1,000 to replace, for something that I would have literally sanded down and painted. But apparently you're not allowed to do that because it will show. And I thought, this is mental. Actually mental to me. Like, there's literally glue stains on the floor, and you're telling me I've got to replace a whole countertop for something the same size mark. It's ridiculous. We didn't have to replace any tiles. They've had to replace the sink since, because it cracked. Have you ever heard of that before? A sink that cracks and leaks everything. I was just literally, we have a dishwasher, so I never really wash up now, but it cracked, and I was washing up something because there was like 2 things, no need for a dishwasher, and it literally just, all the water went, and I was like, where's it gone? There's a crack in the sink, it's all under the sink. I was like, this is a joke. So if anyone's wondering what happens when you move out, your responsibilities increase. So we moved house, and obviously loads of little things were so annoying, but there has been so much incredible stuff this year. So the best way for me to recap the year is to kind of do it in order. So I'm going to talk about all the exciting stuff I've done. So when I had an abortion, right, I started painting. I started to get a bit creative, I did. And yeah, so I really enjoy it. I wish I had more canvases and stuff. But yeah, I really enjoy it. This is one of them. I'll put that closer up. I painted that. I did. That one I used a video. I can't remember their name. I'll figure out their name in a sec. I'll credit it. But that one I really enjoyed doing. That one was really fun. Let's see what others I did. I painted a hot air balloon. I painted a road up the mountains. I painted... That was an emotional time. That was my first painting I did when I was going through it. And I've done quite a few since, actually. Actually, no, I haven't. I've done 3 since. So that's kind of sad, but I haven't had the time or the energy to paint stuff. But I tend to paint when I'm feeling a bit down. So if anyone's going through grief, I would definitely recommend lanterns. They are probably like a nice way to celebrate like an occasion, like their birthday or Christmas. That's just what I personally do. And I feel like I have a connection when I do that. So I can speak to them, I can communicate with them, and I can watch the light for ages until it goes too high for me to see. So I would recommend doing that. That's something I've started doing since losing people like in my life. And I've learned how to stop being so hard on myself, you know, because that is hard too. In the past year, I have been to a lot of places. So last year, Alex took me to Amsterdam, to Canada, to Ibiza, and all up and down the country, which has literally been so fun. We even tried out that Hotel La Tour in Milton Keynes, which is a rooftop bar we now have here. Yeah, so that was really, really nice. I love a good date night. I went roller skating last year. And when I released the pod, like, there was just... It was actually a really hard time when I released that pod, to be honest. Like, I was really struggling. But luckily I filmed most of it before loads of this stuff. And I learned a lot from the pod as well. I learned that I actually need another set of hands. Like, I need another me. Because I could not do half the work I wanted to do on it. Like, I literally wanted to write transcript. I wanted to write so that, like, a blog so people could read it. Like, read the interview. There was so much I wanted to do, but I just literally do not have the time. However, in the past year, I have basically turned my whole life around. I'm a different person now. I am a different woman. And it all kind of started because I crashed. I felt like I hit rock bottom. I couldn't deal with the grief. I couldn't deal with my mental health. I just couldn't cope with things. I was trying to look out for everyone more than myself. And I basically stopped making effort with so many people because I wasn't getting that reciprocated. So there was obviously I wasn't the only person going through all this grief. I was actually really struggling with, you know, trying to be there for everyone else while trying to be there for myself. And I was failing massively at trying to do all of those things. So instead, I basically gave up. Yeah, I basically gave up. I just thought, fuck this. And the film industry went on strike when I decided to go back to work. So I couldn't work anyway. So I was like, fuck this. I'm just going to do something so that I can start building a business, right? Start building my own thing. I can just earn my own money. So to distract myself from a lot of things I was struggling with, I started studying digital marketing, and I literally thought, this is the worst course ever, which it probably wasn't. It's just because I already knew how to do all of it. So I already did all of that stuff in a different job. I already could build websites, which I knew way more advanced than what this course was offering. I already did social media for a company and for others. So I was like, okay, well, I already know how to do all that too. So what? Like, what now? So I did this whole course. It was meant to take me months, and I did it in less than a month. Obviously that was all good, and I just thought, I still don't feel validated enough to start being an expert, if you know what I mean. Like, I felt like I couldn't call myself a good in that field because I felt like I hadn't learned anything new recently. So anyway, I started building my own platform again. So I went back to, the sun shining, which now means the lighting in here is terrible. Oh well, that's fun. So yeah, I decided to basically start my own thing. So I started working on my socials again, building my own platform, reaching out to people, helping people with their stuff at a lower cost. I started getting clients, and then my Fiverr account shut down. So I started using Fiverr, which is like a freelancing platform. You can basically do everything you need to do as a freelancer through that platform. It's really good. I would recommend it. That is not an ad, because I was really annoyed about this actually. So I don't know whether they just haven't got up to speed with the fact that half the world uses an Android, but I could not verify my identification. Even though I'd already done it, it's asking me to do it again, and I couldn't do it on my phone. So I thought, I'll do it from a computer, but you can't do it through there either. I contacted them, and they basically kept telling me to keep trying, but it wouldn't work. So I was like, it's not working. So yeah, discredit to them. But I did get my first client through there, and that kind of helped me get more clients, because obviously they wrote a 5-star review. Bearing in mind, that client didn't actually take any of my advice. Like, well, they did, but not really. Like, it doesn't matter. But they were my first client, and I'll forever be grateful for them. But I can't use their work as an example, because they basically stopped doing what I told them to do. And I created this whole content plan for them, and they just didn't follow it whatsoever. They even started a new profile, which is just So anyway, since then I basically just carried on working on my own socials, and I was really curious if I could basically use my partner as like an ideal client. And a lot of people are probably going to think, what the hell? But he is my biggest client currently. So I help him with socials. I teach him what I can. I give him advice when I can. I create so much content for him. I film the whole show, because you never know when you're going to miss a bit. And I don't want to be that person that misses a bit. So I film the whole thing, and I store all of it, which is currently using all my hard drive. But yeah, so I not only do that, I also help with his label. So that's been really fun and challenging. And I basically manage the staff, help with the website and the content plan. So the strategy has been performing really well. Big success. They're well over 10k followers now, which when I started helping, they were on about 5 or 6k, and yeah, they're now literally on like, I think it was 14 or 15k when I last looked last week. So that is massive, and we are currently in beginning of May. So then and Alex's profiles have both gone up like by like 15k on one platform, and then I think it was like 5 or 10k on the other, and that was in 3 months. So I'm very glad that what I'm what the value I'm adding is working. I also, to add on to the social media stuff, I decided to take a course in AI because I thought, how does everyone understand AI? Why is everyone so opposed to it? Like, obviously, where I was working in the film industry, that all went on strike and I was out of a job because of AI. Everyone said it was overpay. It was over AI. We all know it. So, pay came into it, but AI was a huge element of that because it was mostly the script writers, and then everyone supporting that. So basically, I did a course, and 4 marks, by the way, cha-ching, but it was quite challenging because a lot of the elements I couldn't apply to my own work because I work in building websites, social media, and content creating, and I also specialize in SEO, which is really, really important on websites and also becoming more and more important on social media. So I basically help businesses with their strategy, their plan, and I either do it for them or I tell them how to do it. And so that is basically my thing, and I finally found something that I really enjoy doing, and I'm literally so passionate about it. I feel like how I did when I first started doing it for another company, like I felt like I'm a boss, you know what I mean? Like I feel like I've got that drive, that fire back. Like I am really, really happy with what I'm doing. And about fucking time. I've waited years to feel like this again. So yeah, and at the moment, I'm becoming so overwhelmed with my, the amount of people interested and booking me that I'm saying yes to everyone, and I literally need to hire right now. So I'm going to look for someone to do part-time engagement, and possibly someone full-time once, the cash is in. But yeah, so I'm really, really overwhelmed but overjoyed with all that stuff. Now, what has happened since? Oh, I'm literally all over the place today. Do you know what it is? I did not plan for this episode whatsoever. I literally thought, let's do an intro pod ready, because I've got guests coming this week, and I was steaming this. It's all got lines in it now. I steamed it so it wasn't creased. As you can tell, that side's creased and that side is not. But the idea is that the background was blue. So I hope it still looks blue. But the idea was that I did all this plan for all the pods and I didn't plan for my own. I was like, oh yeah, I need to do an intro episode. Let's do it now. So I basically think I'm going to do a whole episode interviewing myself for people that have never seen this before. So, yeah. Welcome to BurnMyMood Podcast. I am your host, Jay, and today I'm going to be interviewing myself. Okay, so who are you? My name's Jay. A lot of people think I'm called Vicky, which I'm not. It's Jai Vicky. Vicky's my middle name. And what I do is I work in socials, websites, so basically digital marketing, online presence building, and I create loads of content. I started this podcast because I love talking and I don't know when to shut up. I don't enjoy doing talking on social media as much. Like, I do it, but it gets shit engagement. Like, all the platforms are like, give us longer content, and I just like talking as if I'm on a podcast, and yeah, it just doesn't really work for my personal profiles because my profiles are very short, snappy, short attention span people. And how am I doing today? I'm alright. I came back from a client meeting. The house is relatively tidy, and I've only just started getting hay fever symptoms, and my skin is so bad today. Also, my lips, I don't know if you can see because I'm so far away from the camera. My lips are bright pink, okay? I don't even wear makeup, okay? But on the last pod, I told you about how my TikTok started taking off before I basically gave up on it. And it started taking off again, and now I'm getting free products left, right and centre, and it's really hard to pick which ones I actually want, because most of it, like 75% of what I'm offered, I turn down because I can't promote a product I don't like. Do you know what I mean? Like, if I don't even like the look of it, I know for a fact it's going to be useless. And I haven't got the time or care to just sell it on or give it away, so I just can't be asked to take stuff I don't like. So I only take stuff that I'm genuinely interested in. Like, would I buy that? And if I would buy it, I accept the offer. Half the things I do buy, but in the past month, I've just had overwhelming amount of stuff for free. Like, I bought this outfit off TikTok, and it went viral because nobody else has it. So I was literally like, this is unreal. And I've literally started seeing people wearing it, and I'm the only person that's promoted it. So I know for a fact that they bought it off me, and they don't even know it. That is such a hilarious thing to say, but the data does not lie, okay? The data don't lie. It's not promoted, it's not marketed, it's got no ads on it. It's literally just like 5 of my videos, and they sell so many in different colours as well. So there's like 3 colours of this. So yeah, all because of basically me promoting this outfit that I'm wearing, which is the comfiest thing I've ever bought in my life. And it's such a nice colour that I've now got loads of stuff for free. And I got sent the aloe vera lip oil, right? And I thought it was a lip balm, okay? And it was in the same little aloe vera bottle, you know, the one that's like a green aloe vera leaf. I used to use that as after sun, whereas this time it was like a lip gloss. Well, a lip oil. That's what it is. It's a lip oil. And I put it on, and as I was putting it on, I was reading it, and it was saying like, it changes colour by the temperature of your lips, yeah? Bright pink. Couldn't wipe it off, could I? No, because it's a lip stain, not just a lip oil. And I had to meet a client like this. Yeah. I had to meet a client with bright pink lips, and I'm literally like trying to scrub it off, but it ain't coming off. Like, literally nothing comes off. Can't see, I'm too far away. But yeah, not ideal, okay? So then, what else have I done today? Oh, I had a egg and bacon sourdough, which was really nice. I find that sourdough doesn't upset my stomach as much. I mean, it only is on 1 slice, but yeah. Bloody hell, big win. Okay, so if I was interviewing someone, I would ask them next, like, what is your story? My story is too long for this podcast, let's be honest. I literally spend my life telling my story, and every time I tell a story about myself, I feel like when I'm telling people, they think I'm making it up, because my life is just kind of like an EastEnders episode of like 5 different families in one. So basically, growing up, I basically was looking after myself and my siblings, and then I have been feeling without a sense of safety or home since I was about 14. So I moved out, lived with my brother and sister's dad for a bit. Then he was like super abusive too. So then I moved in with my friends while I did my exams. And then when I finished my exams, the social services, because I was only 17, they wouldn't help me because I didn't have any children and I had no recorded mental health issues, which now I'm looking back, I should have fucking lied, or I should have actually just had a check, because I definitely had mental health issues. I was just so like sure of myself that I wasn't mental. I was just having to be an adult too early. But turns out I did have mental health issues. It was actually on my record that I suffered OCD, and that would have been enough. But I didn't know that. So then I had to move back in with my mum, and then I lived with my cousin when I was 16 when that happened, when I got in contact with socials. I moved back in with my mum, and then when I was 17 I moved in with my cousin, and then my cousin kicked me out, and I lived back with my mum for about 1.5 years. And then just as I was about to buy my first car, my mum went, leave your keys, you got a month, fuck off, basically. So I moved into my first flat when I was 19, and it was one of my biggest achievements right now. You know, like how most people want to settle down, have kids, buy a house, go on a holiday every year. Well, I just want to go on holiday every year and have a sense of safety, right? So me being able to get my first flat by myself and be okay, that is my biggest achievement. That is what I consider success. That was my only goal I ever wanted since I was about 12. So maybe even younger than that. You know, like in school when they're like, what do you want to do with your life? Do you want to apply for uni at like 12? And I'm like, no, I don't give a shit about any of that. I just want to make money and house myself, feed myself. That's literally all I cared about. And I did all of those things. So I'm very, very proud of that. And it wasn't easy, you know, I'm saying it like it sounds easy. It fucking wasn't. And to anyone that's in that position now, or in a position where they're having to move out, or they're choosing to move out and they're scared, I understand why you're scared, but I'm telling you, you will survive. You will figure it out. There's like an instinct in you that you'll just figure it out of pure survival. So yeah, and ever since I met my partner, well, we've known each other for a long time, but ever since we have lived together, been in a relationship for 3 years now, I have finally stopped feeling like I have to be in charge or have to be independent all the time. Everything we do is very like partnership, which is like, doesn't sound like it's true, but it is. Like literally, this is my life now and it's great. Like I don't feel like I'm having to do everything by myself all the time, and I love it. I feel safe, I feel protected, and I did not think that this was possible for me. So if anyone's ever worried about that, if you ever felt how I used to feel, like when you felt like you have no one, you feel like none of those things are ever going to be possible because it's just not destined for you, you couldn't be further from the truth. Just focus on yourself, focus on your own mental health, stop looking for love and it will find you. That's my advice for the day. Okay, back to interviewing myself. What are my passions? I feel like my purpose is to help other people. So I have basically created a career where I do that for a living. Yeah, that's fun. I'm passionate about creating this pod every year. Like I want to be consistently creating a series every year, and you never know, one day it might become a more regular thing. Like I would love to do it in multiple holidays of the year, but for now it's just going to stick to summer holidays because that's kind of when people are most available. When people struggle to sleep because it's too light outside, you can just put my pod on and listen to it while you're sleeping. You know what I mean? And yeah, I just feel like it's a good time for me to put out something when I'm probably my most busiest. My goals. What are my goals? I would love to own a house. I don't know if having a dog is a goal, but I want one. And I've wanted one for literally my whole life. I mean, I've had dogs growing up. Even though I have so many allergies, I would put them aside for a dog. Yeah, I would put them aside for a dog. Especially having them from a pup, because I can kind of get used to them a bit more. But, doing pods make me so tired. I don't know why they make me so tired. It's like I non-stop talk and I tire myself and bore myself. Also, I'm planning on in the next series, not next series, God's sake. I'm planning on in the next episode to basically have some games. So like I might do something really funny. Well, what I thought to fit my branding, right? So if you follow me on socials, you'll see on like TikTok, one of my profiles is just outrageous things, right? So like or controversial things, outrageous things. So I thought it'd be really funny to create a game called Show Me Your FYP. So basically someone's got to give me their phone and I scroll through their TikTok for a bit and summarize what I think of their FYP. And I don't know if anybody else does that, but I thought it would be really, really funny to do that because sometimes people show me their FYPs and I literally think, what the fuck is that? Why is that on there? And I just think it's so funny. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that game. Anyway, next question. Oh no, still my goals. Okay, so I want to be able to work wherever I want, when I want, and be able to invest financially. So I'm currently in a position where I can work whenever I want, when I want, but I work every day. Like I know that's just like what it's like when you own a business yourself, but I kind of want to have like more of a structure. So like do 4 hours and then 4 hours in one day instead of working like constantly all day. And I also want to be a lot healthier, and I'm pretty healthy. Like I have not touched an alcoholic drink for a long fucking time. I mean, I've literally been sober for well over a year, and I've tried to have one drink here and there, but it just gives me too much anxiety, to be honest. My body basically registers it as poison. So I literally panic and I think I'm dying. I think my body's convinced me that alcohol is gonna kill me. So I basically can't drink even if I wanted to. So I'm sober and I have been for a while. So maybe have a better relationship with that one day. That would be a nice goal. Or I would love to have like a motorhome and travel in it, like live in it for like a good year or so, maybe even longer. I would love that. What else do I want? I'd love to own my own house. Like I've always thought, like when I was younger, I used to think, I never really knew what I wanted to do career-wise when I was younger. I just knew that I wanted to own properties and make money through flipping houses. So I would love to do that. I love the idea of understanding stocks and trading, but I just know for a fact I think it would bore me. Do you know what I mean? But then again, data and stats don't bore me. And isn't it just that? That probably sounds so dumb to someone that knows what they're talking about. Pretend that I didn't say that. What inspires me? I'm inspired by a lot of people I work with. So I'm inspired by people that are creative, that aren't afraid to put themselves out there, that just try something, even if it's super different and no one's done it before, and they just get it out there. I think that's so inspiring, because what I do is not very original. Like, a podcast is not original. Social media content is not original. Painting is not original. Like, I guess it is kind of original. You make it original, but a lot of people are very talented in the way that they can just think completely outside the box. And I wish I was that creative, but I'm just not. I'm more of I can probably help other people be more creative than I can myself. I don't know why. I don't know. I just don't see the value from myself as much as I do from others. And I don't know whether that's just like imposter syndrome or natural. But yeah, I just see more value in other people and their potential. So I double down on that and help them with that. But I find that really fulfilling. I really enjoy that. So I think I'm just inspired by people around me. And when people stop inspiring me, they're just kind of like not really a part of my life. Like, I've got a few friends and every single one of them inspire me. Like, I really enjoy their company. I really enjoy things we talk about. And even though some people might think it's like, oh, work, it's literally not. It's just like creativity. It's interesting, like learning, educational. I learn so much from people around me because we're not the same. So I love that about myself and the people I surround myself with. My next question that I usually ask guests is, how do you define independence? For me personally, I don't think that definition will ever completely change, just because I had been independent for so long that even though I'm not completely independent now, what I try to do is still kind of independent. But independence to me is kind of like survival. So independence to me means that I have freedom. Like, I can do what I want and no one can stop me. Like, even if they try, they can't. For example, getting my first flat, buying my first car, being able to say no. I know a lot of people struggle with that. When I was younger, I did too. But I learned very quickly in my teens how to say no. And it was such a power move being able to say no as a woman, because I think as women, a lot of people say, you know, that we still have huge inequality, but I think it's also something to do with our own mental block. Like, obviously not completely, but I think an element of it is we actually really struggle ourselves to say no, and because we feel like we're in a weaker position because we're women, but that is not true. Like, you are in a position of power now. You are also equal to men, so you can say no. Like, you can be in control of your narrative, what you want, what you don't want. Like, being independent is being free. Like, being able to do whatever you want and being in control of what you want in life, what you don't want. Like, I don't know if I'm explaining it right, but independence to me is being you unapologetically. So, yeah. And I know a lot of people really struggle with that, but that's what it means to me. And I'm unapologetically myself all the time. And that's my unique selling point, USP. All right? Even though I'm not completely independent the way I used to be, because now I share a life with my partner, I still feel like I'm really independent. Like, I still do a lot of things myself. I don't, rely on somebody else to do these things for me. Like, I don't rely on somebody else to get me work or to build a podcast. Like, I have no help with this. So, literally, I do this all myself, and I'm very, very proud of it. This is where I would introduce the Show Me Your FYP game. So, my FYP is obviously not going to make any sense because I have so many clients I research from different platforms. So, obviously, FYP's on TikTok, okay? So, what profile am I on? Okay, I'm on my normal profile. So, my personal profile, this is my personal brand. It's Jai Vicky 98. Now, a lot of people who follow me know that everything I post is so random, but there's a bit of a better strategy now, But yeah, so my FYP, this one says, me because I have a phobia of any sauce ever invented, so I never know what flour I am. What? I guess this is a trend I've missed out on. Fearing sauces. Why is she acting like that's unusual? I don't like sauces either. I don't know. So one of my friends from school and my old job, Matt, has started doing live streams. So his live streams come up on my For You page. But I think it's because I find it fascinating how he's making a whole living out of live streaming. Probably the only person I know on a personal basis to teach me a bit about that. I follow this guy called Guy T. This has come up on my For You as well. It's just book recommendations. Probably shouldn't be on my FYP because I don't actually read really. I've got books and I read some of them, but I haven't read for a long time. Did anyone watch that baby reindeer? Oh my god. So when I'm filming this is when that the real Fiona Harvey, so the real woman, whose character is in Baby Reindeer, the stalker, she has been interviewed and she's basically denying all these accusations while clearly it is her. Like, you can tell if you watch the Netflix series and then watch her interview, you're like, oh my god, this woman's actually real, and she's completely denying the whole thing, but it's literally like exactly the same as her character. Like, hats off to the writers, producers, and the actors and actresses, because they have smashed it with this woman. But anyway, that's a trend at the minute on TikTok. Another live. What the fuck? This is like that NPC content. I get a lot of just boring stuff, like... So this is someone that does like travel and lifestyle content. Then we've got the Moose Lover live streamer putting out their content. I mean, I actually have some of their products from Moose Lover, so I do like their stuff. I'm not surprised they're the top seller. Another person using the audio from Fiona Harvey. Promoting content. I don't know what the fuck that is. Very mushroomy, hippie vibe. This trend is blowing up. Then I get loads of music content as well from artists and musicians. GK Barry on my being interviewed. Go on, girl. It's nice to see her do well. I've actually really took a lot of inspiration off of her for a long time. Way before she even started her podcast, I really enjoyed her content. I just found her really authentic, herself, relatable, like just one of us. One of us, you know what I mean? So I'm glad to see her doing so well. She actually deserves it. I get so much like content from how to do well on TikTok that is so funny because I don't agree with half of it. Like really, it doesn't matter what time you post. It doesn't matter if something didn't do well. Never delete content and just post. The more you post, the quicker you're going to find out what works, what doesn't. And if you leave content up, it's more likely to do well later. Like I've had posts that just get like 1,000 views one day and then have 1 million by the end of the week. So literally leave your content up. Like people love to see growth, love to see you evolve, adapt and double down on what people want because they can actually tell. I just realised I had a TikTok playing in the background. But yeah, so I would recommend a lot of things on socials, but I'll make an episode about that just because I'm gonna definitely way promote myself in that one. So Show Me Your FYP is a game that's gonna be way more fun when I have a guest on. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what other people's suggested content is because obviously it shows what they're interested in as a consumer. And yeah, I don't know what much else to say for this episode. I don't want this to go on too long. I know Alex is dying to play his music and he's literally just above in his studio. So yeah, welcome back to the pod. I've got so many guests planned out. I haven't even finished planning yet. I'm so behind. I've literally got like 5 guests planned so far. So yeah, I'm going to see how much I can smash out before August and then either release the pod beginning or end of August, depending on how well things do. But yeah, you're going to know, you're not going to see this episode until this is released. So yeah, I hope you have enjoyed the catch up and intro back with me. My life's changed a lot. I'm a different person now and I feel like I've got my shine back. I know that this episode I probably seemed a little like in my shell, but it's because I haven't recorded a pod. So yeah, I just need to get warmed up to the camera again. I'm really excited to show you some of the people I'm gonna have on. I'm gonna try and make this as entertaining and as comfortable and authentic as organic as possible. I really hope you enjoy this series and stay tuned. Some episodes will have a big trigger warning at the beginning because they're going to be very sensitive topics for things that I went through, like I mentioned at the beginning of the episode. But yeah, there's a lot to unpack. And yeah, hello 2024 series. I hope you enjoy. I'm Jay, formerly known as podcast.j. I also have that profile, but I'm trying to direct people back to my OG profile, which is Jai Vicky 98, which is JAIVICKY 98. And this is Burn My Mood. So you can follow us on socials. On every platform, it's called @BurnMyMood. So BURNMYMOOD. There we have an eco shop. So all the products I sell, I still have on my site. A lot of things are sold out because I'm having a clearance. I might bring it all back. I don't know. The incense cones are still very popular, like the backflow incense. So if you like a waterfall aesthetic vibe, I have tons of that still. That's the only thing I still order in. Incense sticks too, of course, just because they actually have a really nice, long-lasting, natural scent. For anyone that's ever given up cannabis, or let's reword that. For anyone that's ever smoked weed and wants to get rid of the smell, or smoked in the house or whatever, not that I would recommend that is something I would recommend if you're trying to cover up bad smell. So the strongest smell I can think of is something like that. But yeah, I have loads of natural products on there available. So I would 100% recommend checking out burnmymood.co.uk. That is where you can see the latest offers of my products, and I have literally a whole storage room full of them. I try not to order too much in now, but if there's something you really want, send in an email or message me on socials and I'll try to get it in for you. This is Burn My Mood. I'm Jay. If you are watching on YouTube, please hit subscribe and comment under the video so I know you've watched. I would really appreciate any likes on the video too. If you are listening on Spotify, please make sure you leave a review, subscribe, and whatever you can to help the podcast do better, because the more engagement I get on these platforms, the more I can continue to do them. And if you are listening on Apple Podcasts, please leave a 5-star review. I would really, really appreciate if you could rate us. I would love to grow this into something even bigger instead of just an extra backdrop now. But yeah. Thank you so much for watching and listening. I really, really appreciate it. I hope you found value in this. If you enjoy hearing stuff about me, then yeah. But you can find me on socials. You can always send me a message. I'm going to do this as often and as regular as possible when it comes to the annual series. And then hopefully in the future I can do it more. But for now, I have not got the time or the manpower to do this by myself. I made an executive and smart decision a long time ago when I basically could not cope with the workload I gave myself. But yeah, thank you so much, and I'll see you tomorrow.